Yeah, I got one.
You got one? Okay. Thank you. Okay. That suits my suit. Okay. The Cuyahoga County Public Works Procurement and Contracting Committee meeting for Wednesday, October 30th, 2019 will be called to order. Roll call, please.
Calling the roll, Mr. Tuma,
Here.
Mr. Miller. Here. Ms. Conwell. Here. Mr. Shrine. Mr. Shrine is absent at the moment. Ms. Baker. Here. There is a quorum.
Okay. Is there any public comment this morning?
No, Mr. Chair, no one is signed in.
Okay. Despite the big crowd, there's no one signed in. Okay. Could I have approval of minutes from the October 16th, 2019 meeting?
Let's have a motion. I so move.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And Madam Clerk, if you could read the first matter referred to committee this morning.
Resolution number 2019-0238, authorizing a contract with Johnson Controls Security System in the amount not to exceed $1,395,016.20 for preventative HVAC and fire alarm security system maintenance services.
Okay, and if you could please state your name for the record.
Good morning, Matt Reimer with the Department of Public Works, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and the purpose of this legislation?
Mr. Chairman, this contract provides a 3-year duration of preventative maintenance and repair services to the HVAC and fire prevention control system, fire system controls for 5 different buildings in the county inventory, specifically the Justice Center complex, which includes the Courts Tower, Jail 1 and Jail 2, the old courthouse at 1 Lakeside, Courthouse Square at 310 Lakeside, and the Tower 2, which is the former Cleveland Police Department building, and the Juvenile Justice Center at East 93rd and Quincy. So this is a 3-year contract totaling $1,395,016.20. This action was preceded by a Board of Control exemption request that was approved several weeks ago. We are doing this a little bit different than we've done it in the past. The short history of these systems is these environmental control systems were put in place under House Bill 300 in the early 2000s, and they came at that time with a 10-year preventative service agreement. Since that time, since the 2011 timeframe, there's been 2 such contract actions that resulted in 4 different contracts to cover this breadth of services. So we've consolidated these contracts, because all of which are proprietary systems that end up being with Johnson Controls, and we have gone through the Sourcewell Government Co-op program, Government Co-op contract, with Johnson Controls HVAC services contract being the method that we have pursued these services. It has allowed us to, the sum total of the old contracts from the last go-around was $1,422,845, and you can see by the total we've been able to achieve a savings of $27,828 over the 3-year span of the contract, and that's even with increasing the scope of services in this go-around by adding the former Cleveland Police Building, which is coming at a cost of $35,000 a year. So even with that, by doing this government co-op approach and the approved exemption, we're able to save money on the 3-year total of the contract.
Okay.
With that, I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Sure. Okay. Questions from my colleagues? Ms. Baker? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Mr. Miller? Oh? Ms. Conwell?
Just a quick one. Through the chair to Mr. Reimer, is this back when we had the smoke detectors and all that in the jail, all the problems with the jail? Does this have anything to do with that?
So this does include the annual fire testing, inspection, and any maintenance services that we find with our fire detection systems that do include the downtown jail facility, specifically Jail 1. We have a separate contract that does the same thing for Jail 2 that has a different system. It's a Honeywell system, and Board of Control just recently approved a contract for that building. But yes, how that relates to problems I can't answer, but it is a contract that covers the inspection, testing, monitoring, and repairs to the system in Jail 1.
And why don't we have both maintenance agreements? Why do we have 2 different contractors?
2 different proprietary systems. Jail 1 has a Johnson Controls Tyco Simplex system, and Johnson Controls owns Tyco Simplex. And Jail 2 was constructed at a different time with a Honeywell system, so that's a proprietary system to that company.
Okay, so it can never be one or the other?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Miller?
This contract was supposed to go into effect on 10/1. Have we received any services so far?
We have not, Councilman. We at the time that the clock struck on that time, we notified our vendor as well as our tradesmen to not incur services for this contract until approved.
And this seems to be something that we could see coming down the track from a good distance away. Why were we not able to get this before the council prior to the contract expiration?
Understood. Fair criticism, Councilman. A little bit of lack of planning on our team's part to understand the full timeline it was going to take here, but also things slowed by taking a different approach here. We had to feel our way through it, and doing the government co-op did add time that we did not plan accordingly for our proper timelines.
Okay, appreciate that. Appreciate the candor and forthrightness on that as well. Things happen. So with that, I would assume that you're looking to try to move this contract along since we're already past the initial date.
We would very much appreciate that
Yes,
consideration,
and
Mr.
dealing
Chair.
with fire alarms and security systems. I don't want to drag this on, so I'll make the motion for a second reading suspension on this.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for second reading suspension. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And if you could, Madam Clerk, the second resolution.
Thank you.
Resolution number 2019-0239, authorizing the county executive to accept dedication of land for a portion of Warrensville Center Road in connection with permanent parcel number 736-28059, located in the city of Shaker Heights as a public street.
Okay, and if you could, please state your name for the record.
Good morning. Neil Yunke from the Cuyahoga County Department of Public Works.
Okay. And Mr. Yunke, if you could explain this resolution, the purpose of this.
So I don't know if you have the drawing, but I did create some drawings with aerial photos on it. I can pass them out if you want to look at them.
You know what, I think we don't
have-
have the drawing, and we'd like the drawing, if we could get a copy of the drawing.
This is a dedication of a portion of Warrensville Center Road. It's actually just widening the road near University Hospital. This is at the request of the city of Shaker Heights. This is for, they want to expand their public sidewalk for the purpose of a multi-purpose path. We've had a few of these in the past. This seems to be the last one that's going to be coming through, and it's just to widen the road, to put widen this, to make the sidewalk a little bit bigger for their path. On page 2 of that plat, I did an aerial photo, and then I show what they're asking to be dedicated, outlined in red. And it's just a small portion.
Okay.
It's currently just a grassy landscaped area.
Okay, and, okay, so just backing up here, so it's a dedication of Warrensville Center Road, right? You want to widen it,
Yes,
and this is near UH Hospital, requested by Shaker Heights,
yes.
by the city themselves. Okay.
correct.
Questions from my colleagues? I know Ms. Conwell has one.
Through the chair, and what's your name again, sir?
Neil.
Yunke.
Neil.
Oh, Neil.
And why are they suggesting to, because I know hospitals like green space, why are they suggesting to widen? Again?
So they want to put that multi-purpose path in there, and that'll be for public use. They prefer to have that in the right-of-way of the road for public use and not on private property.
Okay. And this is the picture with the cars, that's Warrensville Center Road?
Yes.
Right there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Miller?
So once this property is dedicated, whose responsibility will it be to maintain it?
It'll be the city of Shaker Heights' responsibility.
And I presume the city of Shaker Heights has signed off that they approve this action, is that correct?
That's correct. So if all gets approved, we will be filing a plat, the drawing, that they will be signing, and a representative from University Hospital will also be signing it. They approve of it as well.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Baker?
City of Shaker Heights will be responsible for making sure it's clear of snow, that all those services to that, or is that?
They are responsible for that. As far as snow removal, it is a sidewalk. I don't know if the city will be doing that.
They don't have a ordinance that says?
I'm not sure if they do or not. Yeah, I can't answer that.
But it's not county responsibility.
It is not.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Any further questions? Ms. Conwell?
Through the chair to Neil, is this costing us anything? Or we're just doing the plat?
We're just doing the plat.
Okay.
Well, they did the plat, so it's not costing us anything but our time.
So what's the situation as far as when they want to start and get moving on this? Is something can go for the full 3 readings?
I
or-
think so, yeah. I don't
Okay.
think they're in a hurry.
Okay, so I'll make a motion for second reading to full council on this then. I have a second. Okay, I have a motion and a second for second reading. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And Madam Clerk, if you could, read the next resolution.
Resolution number 2019-0240, authorizing the Director of Public Works to execute and submit a loan application in the amount of $200,700 to Ohio Water Development Authority to finance a portion of the Egbert Road Force Main project in the village of Walton Hills.
Okay, and if you could please state your name for the record.
Hugh Bloxage with the Department of Public Works.
Okay, and if you could, please explain this piece of legislation here.
The Village of Walton Hills needs to replace about 2,800 feet of force main that serves their Egbert Road pump station because the force main keeps failing. Financing for the job is half of the financing is coming through a grant from the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District through their MCIP program. The other half is village funds. Village funds, the best way for the village to afford it through their sewer fund is to take out a loan through OWDA to service it. The interest rate is 2.47%. Loan amount is $200,700. The project's being managed by the Village of Walton Hills. We will be doing inspection work on it.
Okay, questions from my colleagues? Ms. Conwell?
Through the chair to Hugh, you said they're gonna take out 200, so that means the sewer district's only putting in the 7?
No, the total project, original estimate of the project was originally $642,000. And so $321,000 would have been coming from the sewer district, 50%, the other half from village funding. In actuality, the project got bid, and the anticipated cost of the project right now is about $250,000. Half of that will come from an MCIP grant. Half of that will be village funding. The village funding is going to be via the loan, which will be paid off through their sewer fund.
Okay,
over
so
20
we're
years.
the only thing before us is really to submit the loan application.
Submit the loan application, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not costing us anything.
It's not no, all the funds will be through the sewer fund, not on any county funds.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Ms. Baker?
So what does the period deadline mean? February 1st of 2019, which was several months ago, and 2 months left of this year, 12/31/19.
Those were placeholders when we started the process. Once the project is awarded and notice to proceed, then the loan with the Ohio Water Development Authority will essentially be 20 years from the first draw.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Conwell?
Through the chair to Hugh, has the county submitted applications before?
Yes, we've done numerous loans with the Ohio Water Development Authority.
Okay.
Okay, as far as the timeline on this, what are we looking for? Could this go full 3 readings here? Or is there some type of necessity to move the submittal along?
I believe this can go for the 3 readings. There won't be a draw on this probably till January.
Okay, I saw the dates, so that's what I was asking. Okay, I'll make a motion for second reading on this. Second. I have a motion and a second for second reading. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, if you could read the next resolution, please.
Resolution number 2019-0241, authorizing the appropriation of real property for replacement of Memphis Road Bridge number 00.62 over CSXT Railroad in the city of Brooklyn.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, Jessica French from Public Works.
okay, and if you would explain this legislation here.
Public Works is replacing the Memphis Bridge over CSX Railroad. It's near the Kitty Park.
Okay.
We acquired property for this project. However, 2 properties may need to go to appropriation. So this is to gain authority to appropriate 2 parcels. One is USF Holland. It's a trunking company. Fair market value estimate of $58,500. We're acquiring both temporary, fee simple, and quite a few trees. And then parcel 2, which is Cleveland American. It's the old American Greetings property. Medical Mutual, I think, is now going to be in the back of that area. Fair market value of $41,250. Warranty deed and temporary easement on both of these properties. We are in the works, still trying to negotiate and not go to appropriation. However, we do have deadlines, and so we want to make sure that we meet all of those deadlines because we have federal funding and the Memphis Road Bridge project.
Okay. All right. I think we've seen something in here before about the Memphis Bridge earlier. Questions from my colleagues? Mr. Miller.
What is the anticipated project cost?
For the actual bridge?
Yes.
Is, let me get that to give you the exact number. Okay. $5,269,000 for the total. There is $2,885,440 in federal participation. We now have 2019. We put in a OPWC grant for issue 1 funding of $1,053,800. And then road and bridge funds will be $1,329,760.
And was the DOPWIC funding approved?
We are still awaiting approval. They just submitted back in end of September.
So any participation from the railroad?
Yes, we are acquiring railroad agreements with CSX Railroad. We're also acquiring property from them as well because we are putting in a water main for the city of Cleveland in that area.
So they're providing us this land without cost, is that correct?
No, we are paying for the cost of that.
How much?
I don't have that number on hand. I can get that for you because we're paying both for the land itself as well as flagging services, which should be coming to council soon as well, and all of their review costs. So it is a pretty large total. I mean, I believe it's going to be over $500,000 total for all costs, including flagging, engineering, for the railroad.
So they don't see the new bridge as of benefit to them and worthy of their providing any participation in the project. Is that what you're saying?
No, this is very typical. I don't think I've ever had it where they provide participation in our projects with any of the railroads.
I believe from being on board of Public Works, bridges are county responsibilities, right?
Yes,
and you're
ma'am.
asking, this is the Memphis Bridge you're referring to? That's
Yes.
costing $5 million?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Okay, any other questions? All right. So what type of time frame are we looking at for this here?
I am requesting second read suspension if that's possible, just to ensure that we get everything in on time for our federal funding. The sooner the better.
When is the actual project set to start, do you know?
Not till next year. We beginning parts are going to be probably spring of next year. However, we are working with the Memphis Kitty Park because they are right next to the bridge, ensuring that we don't shut them down. during their peak season.
Right.
So a lot of the other work will be done in October of next year.
Okay.
So the main parts will be in October.
Yeah, I think they have their own train station there too, so.
Yes, they do.
Are we responsible
there
for
this
that?
summer.
No, that's not on the county thing, so, okay. Okay, with that, I'll make a motion for second reading suspension.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for second reading suspension. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
It's nice to see some different faces for a change over here in Public Works. No offense, Mr. Reimer.
Sorry about that, Mr. Chair.
Next, we have, Madam, well, I guess I would say this here, discussion here regarding the Energy Participation Program transaction briefing here from Mr. Reimer.
Let me get this set up here. I apologize. Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. You should have a copy of these slides at your workstations as well. But as you may recall, dating back to the late summer, we worked with this committee and then with full council on Ordinance 2019-0010, which established our energy participation program for county facilities. And this involved then the execution of a service agreement with the County Commissioners Association of Ohio Service Corporation for electricity, natural gas, and various solar programs. So as I briefed during those presentations, the first transaction under this participation agreement was natural gas contracts, supplier contracts of natural gas for county facilities. So the CCAO SC program manager, who is Palmer Energy out of Toledo, Ohio, I'll refer to them as Palmer now for the remainder of the presentation, they received 6 supplier responses in the August timeframe to its RFP for natural gas supplies. This was for all participating counties across the state, which I believe are 66 in total. The RFP covered all participating counties, including our own consumption of facilities. Per the ordinance, we, the Department of Public Works, were to provide the committee the recommendations before giving them back to Palmer before the transaction date. This was accomplished on August 23rd of this year. And then this presentation, which is required by the ordinance to be completed within 60 days of the transaction. So we had transaction dates of 2 contracts on natural gas on the 11th of September fully executed and the 19th of September fully executed. And I'll go into the specifics of those contracts. Those are based on trade dates, refresh dates of the 6th of September. So we are within that 60 days. And I appreciate, Mr. Chair, your consideration of putting this on this agenda because I think it would have been too late if we waited for the next one. So thank you for your consideration. So that's the background. What were the actions that we've taken and the manager has taken since I last briefed you? So as I mentioned, we transmitted the RFP results, the recommendations to the Public Works Committee members in late August on the 23rd. We, the Department of Public Works, before we issued those recommendations to, reviewed the basis term of 36 months. So the market was favorable and the manager recommended a 36-month basis term. And let me back up just a little bit. When you're talking about the price of gas, I'm learning all this too. This has been a great experience for me. The price of gas consists of 3 things: the local distribution company charges, the supplier charges for which we have sought, that's the price of gas, and the basis term, which is the cost of delivering the gas from a certain point to our geographical location. So it's the basis term of 36 months that was first recommended. The manager also approved across the state participating counties the hedge quantity market triggers. This is buying ahead on quantities, anticipated quantities at a certain percentage based on the trading level of the natural gas commodity. And then we, the Department of Public Works, also reviewed the accounts on the program and made appropriate recommendations and adjustment recommendations for what additional facilities should either come off or be put on the program. That culminated in our recommendations to Council on August 23rd, 2019. We appreciate your consideration. Did not get any responses back from Council or Council staff, so we moved forward. And the manager transacted for the program on basis contracts and supply hedges, the quantities which I'll show you in a minute, in mid-September of 2019, that 11th September and 19th September, as I previously mentioned. What were the results? The results were 2 basis contracts, both with 36-month terms. 2 were executed that included county accounts. We have 1 account on the Dominion Energy Ohio General Transportation Services Program. That is the local distribution company. So the supplier is providing through this program gas to this facility. This facility happens to be a juvenile justice center at East 93rd and Quincy. So this contract only includes that account. So it is a two-party contract between the county, as executed by the manager, and Constellation, which was the current provider of that account on the previous contract. So that supplier stayed the same. One contract also resulted under the Dominion Energy Ohio Choice Program supplier contract with IGS Energy, and that includes 14 different county accounts, various buildings throughout the county. I can go through those if you're interested. This also included accounts from 8 other Northeast Ohio counties, so it was a multi-party agreement, which just illustrates the reason why we intended to go down this participation agreement path and the ordinance program in the late summer. After these basis contracts were executed, there were supply hedges that were executed and approved by the CCAO Energy Executive Committee, for which Cuyahoga County is represented on. And those hedges resulted in 40% of anticipated quantities being hedged on the November 19 through October 20th contract quantities, October 2020 that is, and 25% in the out years of quantities month to month for November 2020 through October 2022. The manager can only hedge percentages of quantities for the duration of the basis term, so they cannot go in advance or beyond the basis term contract. So this represents an increase of earlier recommended supply hedges from the summer based on the trading value of the gas commodity, which was lower at the time. And at the time of the transaction, the attacks on the Saudi Arabia oil field had just happened, so they were taking quick action to ensure that there wasn't a spike in prices there that we missed out on quantities.
So, may I ask a question? Sure. Can you explain what this means in layman's language? Are we locking in some future supply at current prices? Is that basically what it involves?
That's exactly what it is. And Councilman, I had to ask the same questions, as this is a market that is unfamiliar to me personally in my experience. So I had to ask all those same questions. So yes, as I've learned, the pricing for natural gas is priced against the Henry Hub Index, which is a facility out of Henry Hub, Louisiana. That's the benchmark. And so everything is based on getting the trading of that, plus getting that gas from that location to our geographic location. That's what goes into the pricing of the basis contract, and then the supply of gas is how it's then traded.
So we hedge 40% for November 19 through October 20 and 25% for 20 through 22. Does that mean that we're going to do 60% of the coming year and 75% of the following 2 years at prices that then prevail?
Yes, Councilman. So unlike the electric market, where we have a locked term for the 3-year contract, this commodity is more volatile. So as explained to me by Palmer, they will be continually looking at the market to hedge and make recommendations through the executive committee of CCAO, again, of which we're represented, that of when to hedge additional supply quantity percentages. So yes, we will look as the market goes to do additional quantity purchases.
So
I hope that answers your question.
In fact, nobody really knows whether these are good decisions or not.
It certainly sets up, the way it was explained to me, it sets up an insurance policy. We have, the market is at an opportune point of where this is a higher percentage than hedged in previous years at this time. Because of their feeling about the market. And there's also additional feeling that with a projected warmer start to the winter and very significant supply inventories out of, in particular, the shale gas regions in the Appalachians, that there will be continued downward pricing, and there'll be early winter hedge opportunities in addition to the 40% that I'm presenting today.
Okay, fine.
Okay, Ms. Conwell has a question?
Through the chair to Mr. Reimer. It's just all gasoline we talking about, or are we
This is
talking
all
about
natural
heat?
gas, yes,
Oh,
for
okay.
our heating systems and our hot water heating systems for our buildings, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And nothing to do with the gasoline in the trucks?
That's correct, nothing to do
Okay.
with gasoline and trucks. Right. I will say, I meant to say at the beginning of the presentation, Palmer Energy was unable to join us today, but I will make the offer to this committee, if interested, that they are more than willing to come back and give a general overview as well as a specific Cuyahoga County overview of what was presented to us at the annual energy meeting at CCO last week. So happy to also bring them in at a time convenient to committee members.
Okay, appreciate that. You can continue then.
Thank you. So the results continued of the programs. The first contract, which was with Constellation Energy for the Juvenile Justice Center, that came in at a price of the index, the baseline, minus 3 cents per decatherm. Decatherm is about 1 million BTUs. That represents a decrease of 3.5 cents per unit from when the RFP responses were received to when the basis contracts were executed. So that resulted in a savings just in that period of time of about $2,300, just to put a price to what that means. It does represent an increase of that particular basis contract from the last 3-year time period of about $8,000. As it was explained to me, there have been significant infrastructure investments into getting the supply glut out of the shale gas regions, and so that has resulted in some increased infrastructure costs, which did increase the pricing from the previous 3-year total, but relatively insignificant. We consume about $300,000 order of magnitude in natural gas billed all in for our facilities that are on these accounts in year to year. On the 14 choice accounts, these will all be provided by IGS Energy. They came in at a price of the baseline plus 48 cents. This was a decrease of 1 cent from their RFP response to the transaction date, a negligible savings, but still a savings. And it was an increase of 3 cents from the previous 3-year total. This does represent a provider change. Volunteer Energy is providing the natural gas as the supplier on these accounts through October 31st, and then IGS Energy will be the new supplier beginning November 1st of this year.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Miller?
Why do we have different suppliers for different buildings?
Different suppliers for different buildings, why is
Yeah,
that?
yeah, you would think that whoever's lower would supply all of them.
So it is based on account consumption. That Juvenile Justice Center account is a significant consumer compared to the other accounts on the program, and so they qualify, and it's more advantageous to take part in that GTS program. And then I can't begin to provide how the market responses shake out, but when I went over the results with Palmer Energy, the matrix of what providers are providing to what programs across the state was primarily based on 4 qualification review factors. 1, financial viability, just a quick gate check of those that have the financial viability to meet the program demands. Past performance, because all these providers have at some point provided gas to counties across the state. Pricing and other contract considerations, meaning contract terms that may be more advantageous. In both of these cases, Palmer said that the pricing was the predominant driver for the award recommendation to these suppliers. So they came in at the lowest prices. And they gave me the context that is pretty significant when you consider a change of suppliers, because it's a big pain to change those accounts over to a new supplier. So if you're only dealing with a cent or 2 difference in price, it wouldn't make good sense to recommend changing providers at that pain, at that relative small savings. So they would have had a pretty decent price advantage to be able to recommend to change providers.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Conwell?
And who were the other companies that bid it besides Palmer?
There were 6 RFP responses. I'm going off of memory, and I can provide the response to you offline, Councilwoman, but Constellation Energy, IGS Energy, Volunteer Energy, And I believe there was a fourth provider that actually got awarded contracts throughout the state across 8 different local distribution company programs.
I'm just trying to, so now you'd have messed me up with that. So I was kind of thinking that it was Palmer. They won the bid, right?
So Palmer is the consultant manager
Consult.
for the CCAO. So they are the technical experts that run the program for the CCAO. And they're the ones making the award RFP, solicitation, getting that out on the street, evaluating the responses, evaluating the vendors, and then making recommendations to the CCAO and the individual counties, us
Have
included.
we always had Palmer do this?
Certainly as, I don't know the duration that Palmer has been the manager, but for as long as I've been with you and since about the 2011 timeframe, I believe, yes, they have.
Okay, because you were saying something about it's not really a good savings if you jump from different suppliers. So Constellation is one, IGS is one.
Correct.
I've seen those names on my gas bill, so
Yes,
I
yes.
recognize those. And then, so those are the only 2 out of the 6.
That is correct.
And Palmer is negotiating all this or facilitating in some kind of consulting way.
Correct, through the CCAO.
Get it all in my
Right.
head. And this natural gas is for, I know you said the Juvenile Justice Center is separate because they
Yes.
use a higher, is there a way that we know why they're using a higher?
It's just a much larger facility.
Oh, okay, it's based on the size.
Correct. Keep in mind that through many of our big accounts, you'd think we'd have more big accounts, but a lot of our buildings are receiving heating services through district steam, through the Corex Cleveland Thermal contract. That includes the Justice Center, the courthouse, our Virgil Brown building, and a variety
Could
of
you
other.
break that down for me and
I
send
sure
that to
can,
me?
yes.
Who has steam and who
I will.
has this contract?
I will.
Thank you.
Any other questions for my colleagues? Okay, if you could continue.
Sure, this is my final slide, and then I have just a couple other points to mention. I just wanted to brief the committee on what the next actions were underneath this program. So I'm presenting to you the natural gas contracts, and those will be going into Matrix with support of Ms. Davis, and will get properly recorded. But the next actions under this program will be possibly additional supply hedges for natural gas, as I mentioned, depending on the winter month trading. It may be advantageous to purchase additional quantities of natural gas at the current market prices. We will also have, under the electricity program, some contract modifications to our existing supplier contract. We have buildings, as you know, through this committee that we're selling, 4 buildings in particular, 3 of which have accounts on our current electric contract, and then we're adding the Harvard Road facility, which was a recent acquisition, as you know. So we'll be making those account changes on our electricity contract. Our RFP for electricity supplies will go out probably late 2020, early 21 for a spring 2021 performance period. We're currently on a 3-year contract with Dynegy Energy as the supplier. And then also, we will need to be responsive here in the coming weeks and months to this committee's concern about how the ordinance language rolled out and making sure that we meet any pre-screening needs that we want to incorporate into the legislation. So happy to, we'll be continuing that discussion with staff and committee members as appropriate to get to a final ordinance language there.
Something on your last point, Mr. Reimer. So the electricity supply contract modifications, that's going to go on now because we're deleting or selling 3 and then adding 1.
That's correct.
And then that's still in a way connected to the new electricity supply contract, but that will go out in 2021.
That's correct. So we have a current electricity supply contract that we approved through this committee and through full council in May of 2018 that runs through May of 2021. And these are just account changes. An account meaning in our terms is a building. We have building changes that we'll be working with that supplier to appropriately divest of and include in our rates. So we're capturing the rates that we've agreed to.
And we haven't sold those buildings yet.
They have not closed. So the authority has been approved by council, but I believe the first is closing in early December. I'll have to get you, I can get final closing dates on on each of those buildings. My last point is I've left you with an excerpt of the annual briefing that we attended last week as the board of participants from the CCAO. It gives a context of the natural gas market if you're interested in reading. And as I mentioned previously, we're more than happy to bring Palmer Energy in and the CCAO for an energy briefing for the entire program and all the opportunities that we have with it.
I appreciate that. I think what this committee would like to find out is whether or not there's any substantial savings for the county based on the program, and whether it's prudent to move forward with it in the future based on prior actions. So.
And there are. My summer presentation gave what we've achieved to date. That's almost $800,000 in electricity savings and approximately $170,000 a year in natural gas savings from similar programs that are offered by these local distribution companies.
Okay, appreciate it. Okay, with that, thank you very much. Thanks for taking the time to put that presentation together, and we look forward to hearing from you in the future as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you.
It's just offline.
Oh, I'm, okay, or no. Ms. Conwell has one more
So
question.
why isn't water included in this energy?
Water is not a program.
Steam and.
Correct. Water or the steam or district chilled water or district stream are not programs offered through the CCAO Service Corporation. So they just encompass the natural gas consumption, the electricity, solar opportunities, as well as some aggregation programs that are more suited to the more rural counties in the state.
We don't have a lot of solar yet, right?
We do not, although, I mean, we have solar coming in. It's just coming in through Department of Sustainability efforts and contracts versus through this CCAO program.
Okay.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you. And with that, is there any miscellaneous business before the committee this morning? Okay, and seeing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And Public Works Committee will adjourn at 10:45 a.m.